Alright, so we are back once again, and today we're going to be talking about low tier battles. Well, how I see the game, I kind of divided into two different kind of sections. Basically, you have high tier battles and low tier battles. Now, some would say you'd also have mid tier battles, but generally, I think the division is much more stark. So for me, anywhere from tier 8, 9 and 10, and maybe on exception tier 7, would be considered high tier battles. Luckily today though, we're playing the Synop at tier 6, and this Mayoko thinks it's a good idea to go from his starting position and, sail to the other side of the map, which is a very common characteristic of low tier battles. But from generally tier 6 down to tier 1, you're going to get lower tier gameplay and lower tier players, which again isn't inherently a bad thing, it's just a fact of the game. And so this is something I really thought about and kind of demonstrated in this game with the Synop. Is usually I never really play lower tier battles. Generally I tend to hang around tier 8, tier 9 or tier 10, mostly tier 10, when I'm actually playing the game to actually improve and not just to kind of grind a ship. Right here I'm grinding Russian BBs, so it's a necessary evil for me to go into low tier battles and do things like this. Now, that's something that, for me, is pretty enjoyable, but if there's an actual human on the other side of that ship, then it's going to be a very painful experience for them, when they could just be grinding that line for the very, very first time. And so, this is why, one of the reasons why I generally stay away from low tier battles, is because it can very easily discourage people that just are learning the game from, ever playing the game again, which is not all that fun. Another thing, however, is that I noticed is that if you look closely at that player, I'm not maybe accusing them of this, but you look at things like them having no clan and a very generic name, and something pops into your head when you see those two things combined, i.e. it's a bot, or BOT, a big bot. And so that got me thinking while playing this game is, what will be the motivation behind someone to, create a bot and just play it over and over and over again, or let it play in this game over and over again? What will be, the motivation? Why would someone do that? And so I was thinking about this on and on and on again, and something popped into my head. So I thought, from experience playing other games, generally games that are much more popular, people would often sell accounts online of different account types with different valuables. I guess the best comparison here would be to World of Warships, would be ships with certain tier 10s unlocked or with certain premiums unlocked, and they would go online, put them up for listing to sell them, and make a profit consistently from selling them. And so I did what any good I don't want to say detective because that's kind of cringe, but I investigated a little bit, and with a quick Google search I was able to come up with something that was quite interesting. I'll put the screenshots up here somewhere, I think. And this was semi-surprising to me, but again, not really surprising, because in my mind I can't think of any other reason why you'd have a bot endlessly playing games at even low tier. I think there was one listing for like a Hindenburg at tier 10 and several other ships at tier 10. And generally, as you go higher in tiers, you're going to get less and less bots. Well, depending if you consider your teammates bots. But generally, bots tend to stay around low tiers. And that's something that never really kind of fit into this narrative. Like, surely you'd want to be playing at higher tiers to get higher XP, to get higher bonuses and stuff. But generally, I think the time investment would be much better spent having a bot play at tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 10,000 times and you not having to touch it, than create maybe a more advanced bot that would actually have to kind of skirt around playing semi-consciously at tiers 8, 9, 10, and maybe the added XP bonus or added credit bonus just isn't going to be worth it. So that was something that was pretty interesting, and I figured out while I was kind of rumbling around this game. We do get 4 citadels already, and something I didn't notice here is that obviously this guy isn't a bot, but a lot of players tend to get themselves stuck into positions where they really shouldn't be, and the one thing that's really beneficial when you're playing World of Warships is knowing the moves the enemy team is going to make. That BB there had no other option but to sail in a straight line towards that little gully right here to escape. He couldn't turn in because he was just going to absorb too much damage from like the 5 ships sitting right in front of him, and he couldn't turn out because he'd have to show broadside, so he'd have to keep sailing in a straight line in order to escape, which is, you know, good for me because then I can just line up a shot and absolutely blap him. But again, back to the bots. Generally, I don't think bots are going to be. They're pretty prevalent at low tiers, and they're pretty prevalent. But those are generally game bots, which isn't all that big of a deal, especially with the game population. And overall, I don't think wargaming is going to be all that concerned with bots actually being in the game, whether they're wargaming bots or, you know, account farming bots. Because, you know, people playing the game makes the game look good, and when the game looks good, the game gets sponsors, and when the game gets sponsors, almost everyone's happy. And by almost everyone, I mean the people making the game. And so from that perspective, I don't see this changing all that much. So you have to look forward to people playing, or should I say non-humans playing, very precariously or making very precarious moves like this, over and over and over again, which again, depending on what team you're on, could be ideal or less than ideal. Pick up the second kill, which is usually I'd be pretty, you know, happy about this. It'd be a pretty good achievement, but based on the gameplay, it's just like, it's just one of those things. It's a necessary evil that we have to get through in order to slowly climb our way up. That being said, though, the setup is a beautiful ship to play. Generally, probably one of my most favorite to play of any line I've grinded so far, especially at this tier. At tier 7, I've yet to play a ship that's just so potent, so effective, and so consistent. It's just a wonder to play. That being said, though, we're down a cap, I think, but it doesn't really matter because their team's basically eviscerated. But that was just a short little video I wanted to bring out because it was something that was rattling around my head playing this game, and, you know, it could be true, it might not be true, but generally, selling an account for a couple of €100 or, you know, a couple $100 is going to could be a worthwhile investment for someone who comes from maybe a very much lower cost of living area. It could be like a month's salary for someone. So with that being said, not that I'm going to sell my account, maybe. Anyways, but with that being said, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.